Hey guys, Michelle here, Michelle Beckner Family Wellness. Happy Friday. Thanks for joining me for the Happy Mama Healthy Baby live show. This is I wrote it down, episode 24. Yay. I hope everybody's having a good Friday. We're still living in a construction zone over here, so hopefully you don't hear any banging or drilling or anything in the background. So today we're going to be talking about fruit, everything you need to know about fruit. And just like most baby nutrition that I talk about, a lot of this, it really applies to anybody. But yeah, if you haven't joined me before, then welcome. The way this works is I do my live show twice a week. I'm here on Tuesday nights after bedtime, after the kids go down, which is a struggle sometimes. So around 8 o'clock, maybe a little bit after 8 o'clock. And then Fridays around lunchtime when the kids are at school, so I can do things that I want to do. So what I do is I help moms take care of themselves so that they can feed their babies right. I do a lot with starting solids, kind of, sort of, I guess what we're talking about now, baby nutrition. And then I also work quite a bit with moms who are on an elimination diet because of their baby's allergies. So if any of those things sound interesting to you, then check out some of my posts and things like that. Maybe you'll find some good stuff. As far as starting solids go, I put a free guide, 3 things no one told you about starting solids. There's a link to that if you want to grab it. Then just put in your email and I'll send it right over. All right, so let's get right into it. So everything you need to know about fruit. I don't want to demonize fruit because fruit is super awesome, a whole healthy natural food. But there are some things that we need to be careful about when it comes to eating fruit. So before I really get into that, you need to understand about sugars. So if you've been following me for a while, then you probably know a lot of this stuff. So you can just fast forward if you want. But if not, then here's a quick little science lesson. And I am a chemical engineer by trade, so it makes me feel like I'm allowed to get a little bit sciencey every once in a while. So yeah, this is a little bit like chemistry stuff for you guys. So the the sugar that is in fruit is called fructose. So yes, that's natural sugar. So a lot of people I know, I grew up thinking that fructose was like the good stuff because it came from fruit, right? But that's actually couldn't be further from the truth. Fructose is the one sugar that we should be really concerned about. So when I say sugar, it could mean a few different things. But when I say sugar, you probably think of, like the white stuff that you buy in like a 5-pound bag at the grocery store. Hopefully you don't buy 5 pounds of sugar. We try to not keep so much in our house. But you think of like the white sugar or brown sugar or organic cane sugar, whatever. It's all the same stuff. So it's sucrose is the chemical name for that, kind of like table sugar, I guess you would call it. So sucrose is a sugar molecule that's 50% glucose and 50% fructose. Glucose is the stuff that gives our bodies, and every cell in our body, it's what gives it energy. So our bodies need some amount of glucose to function. And any cell on the earth does. They need glucose for energy. I'm not a biologist, so I think that's true. Maybe there's some exceptions. Fructose, on the other hand, our body has absolutely no need for it. It goes straight to our liver. And as many of you know, our liver is the organ that processes all the things that aren't so good for our body, like alcohol. So sugar does the same thing. It has to get processed by the liver. And basically what it does is our liver turns fructose into fat in the form of triglycerides. There's a bunch of other stuff around that, but that's pretty much all you need to know now. Sugar makes you fat. It does all kinds of other bad things. It causes inflammation and stuff like that, but we're not totally talking about sugar today. I'm just giving you a little bit of background. So that's the deal. So we want to avoid fructose. Glucose, yeah, if you eat too much, that's going to be stored as fat too. If you eat more than the energy that your body needs, then it'll store it as fat for later. But yeah. I think that's all I want to talk about. I can do another show on sugar if you guys are interested. Let me know. So hopefully that makes sense. So, like I said earlier, I don't want to demonize fruit. Just because it's got fructose in it doesn't mean that I'm telling you not to eat it. The whole point is we want to eat the whole fruit. So yes, fructose is essentially a poison. It is essentially a poison in our body. It's horrible for us. It does all kinds of bad things, including make you fat. But that doesn't mean that you can't eat it in the form of fruit, because with that fructose, it's packaged with, most importantly, vitamins and minerals, fiber, and water. So the really important things are the water and the vitamins and minerals are great for you too. But as far as the fructose is concerned, the fiber and the water are really important because the fiber helps slow down the digestion, so it's not a huge hit of sugar on your liver. Your liver's there for a reason, like, we use it for all kinds of things. So it'll just do its job and process the fructose as long as you're not giving it too much all at once. The problem with things like fruit juice is they strip out all of the fiber and all of the, I was going to say water, but no. They strip out all of the fiber. So now you basically have like liquid sugar water. So there's nothing slowing down the digestion. So it's a huge hit of pretty concentrated sugar right to your liver, and it can't keep up with that. And then that causes all kinds of like insulin response issues that eventually could lead to diabetes, type 2 diabetes, and all sorts of other problems. So that's the difference between whole fruit with the fiber, and fruit juice without any fiber. So we want you to completely avoid fruit juice at all costs. Okay, I guess I'll get into it now. Sorry. So yeah, there is a healthy recommended amount of sugar, like a daily recommended intake of sugar. The World Health Organization, they recommend, this is for adults, they recommend about 24 to 28 grams of sugar, of added sugars a day. So that includes fruit juices, because that's just straight up sugar, as I explained. So a 6-ounce glass of apple juice, I said 6 ounce because that's more like the size that a parent would give a young kid, is 6 ounces instead of 8 ounces. A 6-ounce glass of apple juice. Did I say orange juice before? Sorry if I did. A 6-ounce glass of apple juice has 18 grams of sugar in it. So it's just about a day's worth of sugar for an adult or a kid. There's, not specific guidelines for kids, but it's around 20-ish, 18 to 20 grams of sugar a day for 2 and up. 2 and under, you shouldn't be giving any added sugars at all. So that 6-ounce glass of apple juice that you're giving your kid, like at lunch or whatever, that's an entire day's worth of sugar. So then look at all the other things. Like there's probably added sugars in their yogurts and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, you want to be really careful about that. If you do give juice, honestly, I don't see why you would, but if for some reason you're really all about the juice, then just make sure you're being really careful about the other sugars in your little kid's diet. I don't want to say baby because they shouldn't be having any sugar, like I said. And then there's also dried fruit. So yeah, dried fruit has the fiber, but it doesn't have the water to keep us full. So if you think about, like I used to love to eat dried apricots as a snack, but think about it, you could eat, I don't know, probably easily 15 dried apricots, right? But you would never be able to eat 15 whole fresh apricots, maybe 2 or 3 probably, and then after that you'd be feeling pretty good. So yeah, the problem with dried fruit is you pack in way more fruit than you would if it was the whole fresh fruit, if that makes sense. So avoid dried fruit for the most part, avoid juice as much as possible. Smoothies are a great option because you put the whole fruit and hopefully some vegetables in there with it too, and blend them up. So rather than doing juice, do a smoothie, and that would be great. And if you want to know any smoothie recipes, I mean, they're all over the place, but I can leave mine in the comments below if you're interested. Some of my favorite ones with tons of veggies in them that the kids love. So yeah, a little recap. Fructose is the bad stuff. That's what we want to avoid. Make sure you're eating whole fruits, not juice and not dried. So like if you see a recipe that is like no sugar or no added sugar, but it's filled with dried dates or I don't know, other dried fruit, raisins. Usually dates are used for that kind of stuff. That's still got a ton of fructose in it. And then same thing goes for like maple syrup or honey or those other like natural unrefined sweeteners. There's still fructose, so it still does the same thing. It still goes straight to your liver. It's not great. So yeah, just be mindful of all the sugar that's coming in from all different places in your diet. You really don't want to go past the recommended 24 to 28 grams of sugar, added sugar a day for an adult, and for kids 2 and over, try to stick to around 20 max. And what's interesting is, I don't know if you saw a post that I did maybe earlier this week or last week, the USDA just announced or just released the new nutrition labels on food. And I've actually seen a couple. I'm like such a dork. I got really excited. I've seen a couple already in the grocery store. So there's good things, like there's things I like about them and there's things I don't. But one awesome thing is it tells you the amount of added sugar, and it gives you the percent of your daily value. But the problem with that is the USDA's recommendation for added sugar in your diet is twice as much as the World Health Organization. So the World Health Organization says 24 to 28 grams a day for an adult. The USDA says around 50 grams a day for an adult. That's twice as much, which I'm sure is probably still much less than what most Americans are eating. So it's a start, I guess. But just keep that in mind when you're checking those things out. All right, so last thing, I'll give you some actionable tips. Fruits that are low, you want to stick to fruits that are lower in fructose. So some of the best fruits to stick to are, and luckily it's berry season now, so essentially any kind of berry is like the number one fruit to be eating. They are super high in antioxidants. They're very relatively low in fructose, and they're really high in fiber, so they're great. You'll notice though, if you feed your baby too many blueberries, you might get some issues in the diaper. So just be mindful of that. But that's really any fruit. I don't know if you've noticed it in yourself or with the kids or what, but if you're eating a lot of fruit, you might have some digestive issues. So beware, don't eat too much. And that kind of brings me to my next point. I really only recommend about 2 servings of fruit a day. And if you're like, well, what about all like the healthy vitamins and minerals that come with it? Eat some freaking vegetables. Vegetables are even better. So fill up all the extra servings that you would normally be eating fruit or, any other food. Just eat vegetables. You can never go wrong with veggies. And if you want to know how to eat veggies all day long, and ask me, I am your veggie expert. I also did a post a few weeks back, or a live show a few weeks back, about how to veg all day, and especially how to get vegetables at breakfast. All right, so back to fruits that are good to eat. Berries, and berries are great for babies too, because, well, strawberries, you'd have to cut them up, but like raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, just squish them a little bit, and then it's like fun, they can feed themselves. Other good fruits to eat, a lot of like the green fruits. So kiwi, honeydew melon, and cantaloupe even are relatively low in fructose. And then like your citrus fruits, obviously, like grapefruit, lemons, and limes. So you're not really going to be eating like a lemon and a lime, but lemon and lime juice is okay. Squeeze some in water. It's not a big deal because there's very minimal amounts of fructose in it. Other good fruits to eat, I guess green apples aren't bad. The rest, other apples are pretty high in fructose, even though they do have a really high fiber content. One thing that's tough is bananas, because every kid loves bananas, and every mom probably loves bananas because they're super easy to give to your kid, right? But they're actually really, really high in fructose, which, I mean, is pretty obvious. Like, they're nice and sweet, and all kinds of, like, no added sugar recipes use bananas as a sweetener, or applesauce too. So yeah, they're super high in sugar. So just be careful with bananas. I know it's hard because, if my kids are screaming for a banana, like, well, I'd rather them be screaming for a banana than a cookie. But I try to keep the serving, even for myself, just to half a banana instead of a whole banana. So like I split the banana between the 2 kids. So just be mindful of that. Other popular fruits for kids are like grapes or watermelon. and apples, I said, are all of those are really, really high in fructose. So I'm not necessarily saying to avoid them completely, but just be mindful. The only fruit that I do avoid completely are grapes, and I've heard them described as, because their fiber content is so minimal that it really doesn't even help out the liver as far as processing the fructose. I've heard them described as just little packets of sugar water. So we avoid grapes as much as possible. I mean, if somebody serves us a fruit salad with grapes in it, then fine, that's whatever. But we avoid grapes. So yeah, some good fruits to eat. Again, berries are awesome. They're in season now, so buy them up. Get frozen berries when they're not in season. Buy them organic, because berries, especially strawberries, are one of the most sprayed crops out there. So make sure they're organic. It's totally worth it. It's the extra money. And then any kind of like green fruit, like kiwi, which isn't really something that we can get local around here. I don't know if other places in the U.S. you can. So we don't buy it too much. And then melons are super in season. That's cantaloupe and honeydew. Watermelon is on the high end of the fructose spectrum. So I've probably talked enough about fruit and fructose for now. So let me know if you've got any questions about fruit or best ways to eat it and how to eat more vegetables, because why not? I love talking about vegetables. So let me know if you got questions. Thanks for joining me. And don't forget, if you haven't grabbed it yet, grab your free starting solids guide at the link. And I will see you guys next week. I hope you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.